Hi, Matt. It's so nice to finally meet you in person.
I couldn't agree more. Hey, Fernando, I think people are waiting for us to start the conference. So, should I put up some slides?
Oh, yes, if you could do that, that would be great. Thank you. Hey, Matt, I see that you look different on your photo than here at the conference.
Huh. Yeah, I think that's just because I'm wearing a different shirt.
Yes, I think that's it. Well, for all those watching this, my name is Fernando Kuipers from Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands.
And my name is Matt Caesar from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in the United States of America. And as general chairs, we welcome you to SIGCOMM 2021. It is just so great that over 1,000 people registered for SIGCOMM this year. And as you can see from the figure, since there was no early registration deadline, many of them registered just a few days ago.
Yeah, I see that. And this figure probably also nicely reflects the increase in the amount of emails we have been receiving in these last days running up to the conference. Anyway, back to our attendees. As you may see from this map, they are coming from all over the world. It's amazing that, despite the pandemic, they have been able to travel to this small town called Gedder.
Indeed, Gather is a special place, and because the cost of this venue and the food and beverage were quite low, we have been able to offer low registration fees. This year, we were even able to offer waivers to improve diversity and inclusion. With so many folks, there will be ample opportunities to make interesting new contacts.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey, Matt, since we're new to this town, shall we explore it a bit?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
So, here in the auditorium, all the technical sessions of the main conference will take place. We have a record high of 55 papers which will be presented. And which is why, for the first time in the history of SIGCOMM, we are extending the main program to a fourth day.
Wow, SIGCOMM is thriving. And there's more. Including the Into Women workshop, we have 8 workshops, 6 tutorials, 3 hackathons, 2 poster and demo sessions, a best of CCR session, a community meeting run by the brand new SIGCOMM Executive Committee, and several social events. But those are taking place elsewhere. So, Fernando, should we leave the auditorium?
Good idea, let's meet outside.
Cool. So here we are at the various breakout rooms where the workshops, tutorials, and hackathons are going to take place.
Do you think people will figure out the reason behind the various country flags on those rooms?
I don't know. That would make a nice trivia question, which, by the way, is one of the social events that we're organizing. And since you can actually win something, I encourage everybody to participate. But to answer your question, let's give them a little hint. It relates to SIGCOMM.
Ooh, that's deep. Well, let's move on. So, when you press X in Gather, you can interact with the Gather space. Let's give that a try over here.
These are the names of the people from the organizing committee. They have done just such an incredible job, and we are so grateful for all the very extensive time and effort that they put into organizing SIGCOMM 2021.
And we also had a lot of help from our team of student volunteers, who even took it upon them to organize various social events. So also a big shout out to them.
And this conference would not have been possible without supporters from industry. Let's walk over to their booths.
Yes, good idea.
We thank our platinum level supporters Cisco and Facebook, our gold level supporters Google and Microsoft, our silver level supporters Amazon, VMware, Intel, and ByteDance, and our bronze level supporters Hewlett Packard, Comcast, Akamai, and Alibaba.
We also would like to thank AMS, who are helping us with all the practicalities around running a virtual conference. Shall we walk over to their booth?
Yep, sounds great.
So if you face any problems with using Gather or Zoom, AMS is there to help you. And don't forget to check out the various Slack channels. There's even a dedicated Slack channel for you if you need any help. So to everyone watching, we hope you will enjoy SIGCOMM 2021 and we look forward to interacting with you in the coming days. If you have any feedback you would like to share with us, feel free to reach out to us directly or to use the questionnaire that has been shared with you.
And with that, let me pass the token on to our program committee chairs, Aditya Kela and Nandita Dukapati. I speak on behalf of Fernando as well when saying that our collaboration with them has been a joy.
Great. Thanks, Matt and Fernando. That was a very entertaining opening. I'm Aditya Akela, and with Nandita Dukipati, I'm very pleased to talk about the SIGCOMM 2021 program, how we came about putting it together, and various other fun statistics about the program. So here are some very high-level details about the program, and I'll walk you through some sort of interesting aspects of the program as we go along this presentation. We received around 245 submissions for review at SIGCOMM 2021. Over multiple months of reviews and program committee meeting, we accepted 55 papers to appear in the program. And these papers are going to be presented in an unprecedented, I believe, 14 session, 3.5-day program. At least I've not seen such a long program in the past 20 years or so. So let's take some of these numbers, the 245 papers and 50 submissions and 55 accepted papers, and put them in context. So this slide here shows a few visual graphics to help us put these numbers in context. On the very top, we see the number of submissions over the years. We have seen sort of the number of papers grow in time, but over the past 10 years or so, the number of submissions has roughly flatlined between 220 to 250 submissions. So this year, we're roughly in the same ballpark with 245 submissions. If you look at the size of the program over the past 25, 30 years, the program was small in the early 2000s and late 1990s, but it kind of crept up over the years, hovering around 40 for some time. But it's seen a significant increase in the last 2 years. In particular, 2020 had 53 papers in the program. And this year we have 55 papers in our program. And Nandita and I and the rest of the SIGCOMM program committee is very happy that this is the largest ever SIGCOMM program in the history of SIGCOMM. So we are very proud of that fact. Just putting these two numbers together, the bottom graph shows the acceptance rate over time. It used to be, hovering in the mid 30s in the very early years, but it kind of dipped in the early 2000s. This year, the acceptance rate of 23%, or nearly 1 in 4 papers accepted, is the highest since 1994. And this is another aspect that we are extremely proud of. And by the way, this data is built on stats that are available on the web, and my own tiers from multiple years of SIGCOMM rejections. The notifications tell you how many papers were submitted and how many were accepted and so on. All right, so here's a little bit of a behind the scenes look at the paper submitted and so on. So each paper, when it is submitted, the authors get to pick a bunch of topics that correspond to the paper. And this is the set of topics we listed on HotCRP for all submissions. The blue bars are the number of papers that picked a particular number of submitted papers that picked a particular topic. And the green bar is the same fraction for all accepted papers. So there are a bunch of interesting things to look at here. From the blue graphs, you can see that data center networking, wireless measurement and monitoring, but also sort of applying machine learning to networks and network support for machine learning. We see a significant number of submissions on those topics. But this figure also shows that certain topics are well represented in the program this year. So if you look at the green bars, you see that especially papers and formal methods applied to networking, there is a greater fraction of them in the program than they were in the submitted pool. Likewise, if you look at network support for things like storage, caching, and distributed systems, the intersection between networking and distributed systems is a lot of representation of those papers in the program. And other topics like that kind of include data center networking, wireless and sensor, and mobile networks, and so on. On the other hand, there are some papers that are somewhat underrepresented, topics that are underrepresented in the program. Notably, network support for machine learning, which received a larger fraction of papers than ended up being accepted into the program, and likewise applying machine learning to networks, as well as security and privacy and things like network hardware and so on. So this basically reflects this chart reflects both the topics that people seem to be interested in. The blue bars show that, but the green bars kind of show the strength of the submissions we've seen in different topics. Here's another way to slice the data behind the submissions. This is a look at authors who have submitted to the conference. On the left-hand side here is a bar graph that shows the geo-distribution of authors. The blue bars again are for submitted authors, and the green bars are for accepted authors. And what the most striking thing from this graph is the significance of non-US authors submitting to SIGCOMM. In fact, less than 50% of the submitting authors are from the United States, and 25% of the submitting authors are from China. The right-hand side graph is a CDF of papers and their conflicts of interest. So, for example, if you look at papers that have conflicts with fewer than 6 program committee members, 66% of submitted papers and 42% of accepted papers fall within that pool. So what this graph shows is that accepted papers tend to have more PC conflicts, and this is kind of a reflection of how our program committee is a good representation of the community's work as a whole, and also the collaborative nature of our PC. A couple of other interesting stats to note here. If you look at PC co-authored submissions, we saw about 23% of papers being co-authored by the PC members. And if you look at the accepted papers, they make up about 36% of the accepted papers. Again, this reflects the quality of our program committee, the depth of their work they do, and their great standing in the community. And hopefully this is something that you see reflected in the reviews that you saw from RPC. Like last year, SIGCOMM this year also had the artifact evaluation process on accepted papers. So this is the second year that SIGCOMM is doing it. We are happy that roughly half the accepted papers participated in the artifact evaluation process. And the process comes up with 3 badges. 5 of the papers got the artifact available badge. Another 5 papers got the artifact available and evaluated and functional badge. And about 18 papers got all 3 badges, which is good news. But we are all hoping that all of these numbers, especially the third bar, creep up closer to 100% of accepted papers. So that was an overview of sort of just the program and some of the aspects. But just to walk you through how we got here, I'm going to hand it off to my co-chair, Nandita.
Hello, everyone. So in the next few slides, I'll briefly discuss how we ran the paper review process and got to 55 papers in the program. Aditya, there was a slide before this on the program committee stats. Could you just go to that? So while Aditya is bringing up the slide, so here are, I just wanted to give you a quick preview of the stats that constituted our program committee. Of the 60 members, 25% of the program committee members were affiliated with academia or industry outside of the United States. 26% of the program committee were women. And the split between across industry and academia was 20% representation from the industry and 80% from academia. So, and similar to last year, we did not select members of the community to serve in the program committee who have already served for 2 consecutive last 2 SIGCOMMs. So, we strive to make the program committee diverse, and we certainly hope that we continue to make strides in the PC representation that's as diverse as the SIGCOMM community out there. So let's quickly go through how we went through the reviewing process. So we reviewed papers across 2 rounds. About 53% of the papers made it to the second round. And following the second round, we had a 10-day-long online discussion, following which we had a 2-day virtual PC meeting. All through the process, we sought out expert external reviews where we felt was needed. We came into the virtual PC meeting with 20 papers that were pre-accepted and a little over 60 papers that were to be discussed in a span of 2 days. We ensured that all of the accepted papers, all 55 of them, were assigned a shepherd. So they went through a shepherding process, and they also had a public reviews, each of the papers. And this, I believe, is the second time we're having public reviews, the first one being in 2015. And finally, just a minor note that we had to reject 5 papers even prior to round 1 due to extreme formatting violations. So that's something for us to continue to watch out for when submitting. Next slide, please. This is slide before. Right, and I'm going to quickly walk you through on how did we get to 55 through our review process. So Aditya and I, at the onset, set out a goal that, we want SIGCOMM to be the venue that accepts papers that are promising, that may be in early stages, that probably have some rough edges and may not actually fit the mold, right? We want it to be an excellent and inclusive program that recognizes early work that probably blazes the trail later on. And our philosophy, in order to get to that, our philosophy for the review process is to maintain positivity and give constructive reviews. We were interested in the reviewers' understanding of the paper and their collective recommendation at the end of it. So throughout the review process, as well as at the PC meeting, we found that the discussion was largely positive, and including for papers that were showcasing perhaps incremental work or were more heavy on the implementation side of things. We were also keen that all accepted papers are shepherded, and this year we experimented with a few different flavors of strong shepherding for a very small number of papers. For example, making the acceptance contingent on artifact evaluation, where the PC was not entirely convinced of a subset of the results. Next slide, please. Finally, we want to share with you some reflections, just opposing 2 SIGCOMMs in 2001 and 2021. So what you see on the left-hand side is, and the right, is basically a word cloud of the words that appeared in the titles of SIGCOMM 2001. And on the right-hand side is a word cloud of the titles that appeared in 2021. And we had 2 takeaways after staring at this for some time. The first is SIGCOMM 2021, and over the years, actually, we've seen an increase in the breadth of the topics that are represented, with networks and a cusp of several different areas, including machine learning, data centers, programmability, multi-tenancy, virtualization, fault tolerance, reliability, end hosts, NICs, etc., arise in these topics. And lo and behold, this increase in breadth is reflected in the size of our program, as Aditya was walking us through, with a program of 55 papers. Our second observation is that the research on the more traditional topics, such as the internet, particularly the wide area interdomain issues, has decreased over time. This may not be a good or a bad thing, but I think we as a community should ponder upon the consequences of our decreased attention on internet research and whether we want to do something about it. Next slide, please. And I would like to pass it on to Aditya, who's going to acknowledge very many people who helped us. Yeah.
Thank you, Nandita. So it was a great honor putting together the program, but we couldn't have done it without the help of several people who assisted in us in various steps in the process, especially our very strong and super positive program committee and external reviewers. We have them to thank. They did a lot of work during difficult times in the ongoing pandemic. So we really appreciate their effort in doing this for us. So many thanks for that. We also would like to thank the Artifact Evaluation Committee. This was chaired by Aaron Gamble-Jacobson and Arpit Gupta, and they did a tremendous job in a very short notice to evaluate paper artifacts. Best Paper Awards Committee, Ellen, Maithili, and Olivier. Our publications chairs who worked with us patiently through various delays as we put together things like the papers and their public reviews. General chairs, Matt and Fernando, who took multiple ideas from us and came up with a really entertaining and interesting program and structure for it. And it's been great working with them. The technical steering committee for holding our hand throughout the many months of us putting together the PC and the program. And the participants, all of you who are on the webinar, but also those of you who will be joining in the future days, as well as the submitting authors. Of course, without you, there is no program. We also have many student volunteers who helped us during the program committee meeting, as well as during preparation of the slides and during the preparation of the program to thank for this. So I guess one of the most fun things that we have in SIGCOMM is actually deliberating over, okay, what is the best paper or the best student paper in this. And this year we had a very strong program with multiple contenders for these awards. The Best Paper Award Committee picked 2 awards to give out, one for the best student paper and one for the best overall paper. So here is the Best Student Paper Award winner, a nationwide study on cellular reliability, measurement analysis, and enhancements by Yang Li, Hao Lin, Zhenhua Li, Yunhao Liu, Feng Qian, Liangyi Gong, Zhonglong Jin, and Tianyan Zhu. And this is a citation for this paper. It's a great comprehensive measurement study of cellular reliability covering 70 million Android phones and many different hardware models. And so there are several interesting takeaways from this paper. So this paper will be presented on Thursday in the 12th session, Thursday PM. So many congratulations to the authors and virtual clapping from all of us to the authors. Kudos on your excellent paper. That was the Best Student Paper Award. The Best Paper Award goes to 7 years in the life of hypergiants off nets. This is by Petros Kigis, Matt Calder, Lefteris Manasakis, George Nomikos, Vasilios Kotronis, Xenophontas Dimitriopoulos, and Ethan Katz-Bassett and Georgios Maragdakis, worldwide collaboration. Again, an excellent paper that leverages the scans of the IPv4 address space and TLS certificates and sheds light on hypergiants and how they've deployed their servers across the globe. Again, a really interesting paper. This there was no question that this was a best paper contender and candidate by a distance. This paper will also be presented on Thursday in the first session, I believe. So session number 9. So look forward to this paper as well. So again, many congratulations and kudos to all the authors for an excellent paper and exemplary work. All right, so I think that brings us to the end of our presentation. I'd like to hand the baton off to Dina to talk about SIGCOMM Awards.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dina Papayanaki, and I'm the outgoing awards chair. Ellen is going to ask who wants to step in and take on this very fun and exciting role, in my opinion. So going to the next slide, please. All right, so within this session, we are going to recognize a number of awards that our community gives away throughout the year. The first one is the SIGCOMM Doctoral Dissertation Award. Before we move into the specifics, I want to mention a little bit about the process that I'm following as an awards chair. My role and responsibility is to identify the chair for the committee that is going to deliberate on the awardee. And that committee is unknown to the public, and usually, they go through a very thorough process of, taking into account all possible nominations and coming up with their final decision. This is why in the following slides, you're going to see a consistent mention at the bottom of who comprise the committee. These committees are being announced only after the award has been determined. First award is for, as I said, the SIGCOMM Doctoral Dissertation Award. It goes to Yuliang Li for their thesis, Hardware Software Co-Design for High Performance Cloud Networks. You can see the citation below, and I want to mention that in this particular year, we also had an honorable mention for Ming Liu for their thesis on building distributed systems using programmable networks. The winner of the doctoral dissertation award is giving the keynote at Connext the same year. So hopefully you're going to hear from Yuliang himself in a few months. I want to thank the committee, Georgeta Yecheva, Kate Lin, Dave Moltz, and Peter Stinkiste for helping with the decision in this particular award category. Congratulations to Yuliang. Moving on to the next one, we have quite a few, is the SIGCOMM Networking Systems Award. It's a few years that we've been awarding this particular award that is recognizing a deployed, impactful system that came out of the research community and became a product and has demonstrated, the usefulness and the importance of working in that particular domain. This year, we are recognizing before a globally deployed software-defined wide area network that is running in Google. The individuals being recognized for this award are numerous, so I'm going to skip the names if you do not mind me. All this information is captured in the SIGCOMM Awards website, and you can find, the citations as well as the awardees. Wanted to very briefly mention the committee, and I have, the transcription going over my slide. So Olivier Bonaventure, Randy Bush, Renata Teixeira, and Mithil Vutukuru. So thank you very much for helping us determine this particular award, and congratulations to the Google team. Very good. In other circumstances, we would be handing plaques and we would be handing certificates, just in terms of process. All these things have already arrived at the homes of the awardees. And I do not know, maybe, somebody wants to show in the camera, but I don't think we have the option of doing that. Moving to the next one, please. This is one of the most, I think, exciting awards that our community is awarding, and lots of people, I think every time we have an in-presence conference, they are actually quite excited to attend this part of the presentation. It recognizes papers that were published in any ACM SIGCOMM sponsored venue over the past 10 to 12 years. And here the task of the committee is to go through all those papers. They are all by default in the nomination pool and determine the one that has actually managed to stand the test of time, as the award title says. So we have two test of time awards this year, and the recipients have already received their plaques according to my shipping notifications. The first one is Internet interdomain traffic. It appeared in SIGCOMM' 2010, and it was authored by Craig Labovich, Scott Jekyll Johnson, Danny McPherson, and John Oberheide and Farnam Jahanyan. The paper is being recognized for pioneering and systematic study of the consolidation of internet traffic and changes in the peering structure caused by hypergiants. So interesting that we have a best paper award that is tackling a very similar, if nothing from the title, topic that had a long-lasting impact on internet modeling, internet measurement, and internet architecture. The Committee for the Test of Time Award was comprised by Nick Fimster, Athina Markopoulou, Jennifer Export, apologies, it's too early on the West Coast, and Georgios Smaragdakis, who acted as the chair of the committee. Going to the, congratulations, yeah, I forgot. And the second SIGCOMM' Test of Time Award is Data Center TCP, DCTCP. I think for the people in the audience, a lot of you are familiar with this paper from 11 years ago. The authors were Mohammad Alizadeh, Albert Greenberg, David Moulds, Jitu Padye, Parveen Patel, Balaji Prabhakar, Sudipta Sengupta, and Murari Sridharan. The paper is recognized for novel data-driven design and implementation of a variant of the transmission control protocol tailored to the data center environment that had a long-lasting impact on data center operation and design of network protocols. The committee again is the same. They reviewed all qualifying papers within the past 10 to 12 years and decided on those two. So congratulations to the authors. And we are going to the last award that also I think has a great significance to our community, which is the SIGCOMM' Lifetime Award. I tend to, when I give this award, for me, the Lifetime Award is a little bit too final, to be honest. I think, all our awardees have a lot more lifetime to make very significant contributions. So I'm a little bit, with that said, it is the highest award that our community has. It recognizes significant contributions throughout the research career of the individual that is being recognized. And I wanted to announce that this year's award goes to Professor Hari Balakrishnan for contributions to mobile and wireless systems, resilient networks, and congestion control. The committee for that award was comprised of Marinho Barcelos, Philippa Gill, Anya Fellman, and Craig Partridge that acted as the chair. Congratulations to Hari, who is going to give the keynote very shortly. And my deepest thanks to everyone that participated in this committee and in the previous committees. I know that it's a lot of work, to go through all the nominations and apply very principled criteria as to what, warrants some of those awards to be given to the recipients that you saw today. With that, I'm done, and I hope you have a wonderful conference.
Thank you, Dina. Very much appreciate all your work as the awards chair, and I'm looking forward to finding a suitable replacement. Big shoes to follow. So let's see, next slide, Aditya. So I'm Ellen Zagura from Georgia Tech. I have been co-chair of CARE, the committee CARES, and I am as of July 1, the elected chair of SIGCOMM'. So you'll hear from me a few times during the week. What I'm here for right now, though, is to talk about the values of our community, and in particular, our values about being inclusive and creating a welcoming environment for all in our conferences, and in fact, in all the venues where we are involved in SIGCOMM' activities. That includes all of our virtual spaces, Slack, for example, and the meetings in which we do reviewing and hold conference activities. So ACM has a policy against harassment. SIGCOMM' is an ACM entity. Even if we were not, we would still hold up these values. So this is the ACM statement, is the centrality of the open exchange of ideas as vital to the research enterprise, and then the necessity of an environment where everyone is treated with respect. There are a variety of unacceptable behaviors Hopefully these don't surprise you. Threats or bullying, racism, homophobia, other discriminatory behavior, sexual harassment of any kind. There is an official method by which you can report an incident of any of these types, and that is via ACM's online form. And you see the link there, and you can make that report anonymously, or you can identify yourself. Next slide, Aditya. Because reporting may be a difficult decision or a difficult process, a variety of SIGs have created committees called CARES committees. And SIGCOMM was in fact early to creating such a committee. The purpose of these committees is to assist in the reporting of incidents. And that generally involves a conversation, often involves a conversation about whether to report or not, whether a behavior falls under these categories or not. So most of you don't need help filling out a web form. So the role of this committee tends to be more in the consultative and listening vein, rather than, it's that sort of assistance. And this is just a short history of the CARES committee. We ran it in an ad hoc fashion, initially at SIGCOMM in person in Hungary in 2018. It became permanent. And in 2020, ACM has asked the CARES committees to expand their scope beyond just beyond incidents that occur of discrimination, harassment, and to include violations that happen related to publication processes, including reviewing. I'll say more in the community meeting on Thursday about this. We are in the process of transitioning so that we rotate the members of that committee. Aditya, could you go to the next slide? And at the moment, we have 4 members who have been on the committee: Sujata, Marno, Jen, and Justine. You see all of their contact information there. We have received interest in joining the committee from several people that we are talking with, but to be perfectly honest, we would like to additionally diversify this committee. So if you have any interest in serving in this important role, please be in touch with me. The work is not easy. I will be completely honest with you about that. It's not always easy, but it's incredibly important. And I think that those who have had a chance to be a resource for members of our community have really felt gratified by the ability to play that role. We don't have a lot of business, so it's not. I don't want to create an impression that this is either a time-consuming job or one that our community has a great need of. But I think all communities have some need for this, and ours is included in that. Next slide, Aditya. I want to highlight the community session. Now I'm moving out of my CARES role. I think this has sometimes been called the business meeting. Hari, I'm watching the clock. I see I'm eating into your time. Sorry. Sometimes been called the business meeting. I think it's better called the community meeting. You don't need to be a member of SIGCOMM to come to this community meeting. We will talk about things that are of interest to anyone, whether they're a member of SIGCOMM or not. So you see a short list there of some of the topics. I guess two things I especially want to call out. Well, 3 things. One, we shifted the time a little bit because we used to be overlapping with the CCR, best of CCR. So the time's slightly different. But then the 2 other things I want to highlight are we're going to have a panel talking about whether SIGCOMM should be single or dual track. And so I'm sure most people have some opinion about that. You'll hear, there are 3 panelists, you'll hear at least 3 opinions. And then there was a survey done about how we return to in-person and what mix of virtual. And so Matt will be sharing the results from that community survey. And I think I've seen them. They're quite interesting. And I think a good topic for our community for discussion. Next slide.